Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Generation X Nation. As y'all can see, I'm going to do a real quick review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. And my review gonna be a little bit different because I'm gonna point out the hypocrisy of a lot of crap I've seen tonight. All right. But before we get started, as always, first things first, thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel, who has liked the videos, who has left a comment. As I always do, I do reply back to you as soon as I can. All right. I appreciate it. It does not go unnoticed. Thank you. I'm trying to get to 400. Please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe if you run across this video. I don't care if you ever look at another video of mine. Just like and subscribe right now. Okay? Now, before I get started, I have to do my disclaimer. I don't have a dog in this fight. I do my commentary based on week to week episodes with the understanding that episodes are edited and we only get to see what they air on the television screen. And that is what I do my commentary on. Okay. Now, if there's things that's happening behind the scenes and stuff they cut out that we don't get privy to until maybe the reunion or somebody go on social media and let us know, then hey, you can't fault us for that. We can only commentate on what we see. Our commentary usually is based on our own life experiences for the most part. All right. So let's get started. First of all, my I'm going to talk basically about Marceau and Tisha and Maurice the Beast and Kimmy. Because Maurice, baby, is a beast. That's all I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna say them for last. I'm gonna talk about a little bit of hypocrisy I seen in Tisha Scott. Just my opinion. Okay, everybody has their own. This is just what I kind of felt. So they started off, they're preparing for this 1980s party that they're putting together. During that time frame, they are having a conversation. Tisha is still upset with Nell about an NDA. That's hypocrisy number one for me. The NDA issue. You still upset with Nell about her husband mentioning the NDA. And I guess it got repeated. That's your beef with Nell? But Stormy, and again, shout out to Canvas Beauty. I don't have an issue with Stormy. Called your husband a bitch, not only to you, to his face. And you had no smoke for her. You was upset, but you didn't have no smoke for her. But you got all the smoke in the world for Nell, who husband said NDA. Nell didn't say it. She just kind of said it in, I guess, a conversation when it got back to y'all and y'all started talking. Hypocrisy, Tisha. Number two, you questioning Destiny's loyalty. Where's her loyalty line? I don't know if she's loyal. Now, Destiny then gave up her best friend, which was your previous castmate, and took y'all side, and she's no longer friends with her. And you're questioning her loyalty? Apparently, she was loyal enough to you guys to sever a friendship that she had before she even met y'all, the lady who helped pay her bills when she was struggling during COVID. I'm just saying, you questioning her loyalty? You didn't have no loyalty towards your ex-castmate. Your loyalty was to her husband, who was the cheater, and not you, and not her, who was there trying to help you and advising you on certain things. But you questioning somebody's loyalty. Tisha, stop. Don't even do that. It doesn't even make any sense. Now, again, I say ex-castmate out of respect before y'all say anything because she doesn't want to be associated with the show. Now, sometimes her name does come out my mouth, but for the most part, I try not to say it out of respect for her. All right. Now, you're going to go sick your mama on Miss Nail. The same way you sicked your mama on your ex-castmate at the Madani relaunch. Y'all remember when her and Miss Nail got into it. So Tisha has a habit of sicking her mama on people and fighting her battles because she can't do it herself. But she sit back in the cut, as they say, throw rocks and hide her hands. She talk mega smack. She talk smack in the confessionals. She's sitting at the table with the women on various occasions talking smack. But then when it gets too deep and she can't handle it, she run to mama. I keep seeing you do the same pattern, Letitia. And sadly, I will be the first to admit I have faith that maybe you changed a little bit and can maybe carry the show a little farther. But right now, I'm seeing childish Tisha. You are 40 plus years old and you still acting like a child. There is absolutely no reason for your mama to fight your battles. But you use the excuse, well, Miss Nell is loud and she like to cuss, and so does my mama, so they can argue. Bull crap. I call BS on all of that, Letitia. BS on it because technically your mama ain't really a cast member. You are. So you should be handling your situation with Nell between you two as grown women. I didn't like that. Now, let's look at some more hypocrisy. And I'm going to try to make this quick, but I have to get there. So as the event, no, prior to the event, Tisha and Marceau drive around, I guess in a 1980 limo. I guess it fit the theme of the party to give out personal invitations, but they didn't give Destiny one. And she know why. She said, "Oh, we text Destiny." No, you didn't give her one because you don't know if Destiny's loyal to you. And you said, "Well, I don't know what react." So I sent her a text message. Tisha, you full of crap. I just didn't like that at all. And I ain't even a big fan of Destiny, but you were wrong. We understand why you didn't give Nell one, but you didn't give Destiny one. So let me get this straight again. You broke up with her friendship with her longtime friend who helped pay her bills to bring her to your side because you didn't like the friend. And now you're going to toss her to the side. Destiny, you should be feeling some type of way right now because you're sitting there in the mix of these women and they really don't care for you. But the one person who did have some care, who did care for you and admittedly said it and tried to be your friend, you treated her like crap. And then on the reunion, tried to assume that she was trying to groom you. You got to be feeling some type of way now, right now, watching these episodes and hearing what they're saying behind the scenes. But I guess Destiny, so desperate, you probably still kissing their ass, but I'll leave it alone. Now, y'all go do these invitations. The party starts. Tisha has Miss Wanda come. Miss Wanda blogging all the way there in the car blogging. I'm gonna be on the red carpet. Now, again, hypocrisy again. Y'all hated your ex-castmate because her online group was harassing y'all and y'all hate social media and these bloggers, this and that. Now your mama a blogger and y'all okay with it? And every one of y'all who came to that red carpet, she asked y'all a question that y'all got mad at other people for asking. She asked Maurice and Kimmy about the whole issue with the video and Martell and all of that. And they was like, well, I mean, da da da, and walked off. Whereas before, you was snapping on your old castmate about that same thing. And y'all was all upset about it. Doesn't make sense to me. Tisha gets on there. She said, "Where your husband at? You ain't got nothing to say." But I mean, Trisha was mad when the old castmate asked her, "Hey, did you meet my husband at the house when we was married? Whatever." She had an issue with that. See, I look at all the hypocrisy. I just kind of, I've been watching the show for a while, so I can see how stuff goes back and forth you know? And I'm like, wow, I'm confused. Martell gets on there, and I'm gonna tell you something about Martell. Contrary to popular belief, I don't even care for Martell that much, but Martell stands on business and he don't change his mind or deviate from who the hell he is. When she asked Martell about, I don't like what you said about my daughter, Martell was like, hey, it is what it is. But he also said, if you come at me again, I'm gonna do it again. Martell don't care. You mess with mine, I'm gonna mess with yours. And they all okay with that. But you still mad about an NDA, Tisha? You still mad at the hell over an NDA? Okay, let's move it along. Now they get to the party. Somebody's noticeably missing. All the guys show up. They're in a corner talking about Destiny. So now you got Tisha over here, which you ain't loyal. And now you got the men over here insinuating you a little hot, a little fast, 304, whatever. I know you're not, but that's what they're, insinuating. Destiny, why would you let them put a storyline together for you like that? And I understand you're all friends, you probably dated them. That doesn't mean there was any intimacy going on, but it's just the optics look bad. And sometimes perception is people's reality. I wouldn't have let that go. I wouldn't have let that storyline come out like that, Destiny. There is nobody else in Huntsville that you could have dated. That the three men that you have dated in this season are all in the same room and all on the show, and they're over there laughing at you. I know that had to hurt just a little bit when you watched the show, the stuff they were saying. Is she coming in with a new guy? Who's she coming in with? Come on now, golly, I just my opinion, Destiny. That just looked real bad. Okay. So now everybody's sitting down, they get to dancing, turn up the music, Tisha and Marceau come out with their whatever speech and the music gets turned up. And Miss Wanda old behind showing the Rudy to the Tootie, as they say, all her old wrinkle behind. They had to blur it out. God only knows what it looked like. And that's fine. They was having fun. Maybe Miss Wanda didn't know that her skirt was that short. I'm just saying. So now the ladies gathered at the table, and here it starts. Tisha once again throwing the rocks and hiding her hand. You know what I'm saying? Miss Wanda started talking, and it seemed like the conversation was going good. But then, as usual, Miss Wanda wants to take it to the next level. Miss Nell said, "Your daughter, everything was going fine." And she said, "Your damn daughter." And Wanda would act like she cussed her out. Once again, Martell said, "Your daughter was in the backseat of a car with men and he watched." Accuse your son-in-law of doing certain things with a woman, did a whole interview, and you not mad at him for that or cussing him out when you roll up on him, but you cuss him his nail out for saying damn daughter, and y'all still arguing over an NDA. I'm confused. This is the hypocrisy of it all is just crazy to me. So Martell can sit there and disrespect your daughter on national TV, but Miss Nell can't say your damn daughter. And then you hit the low blow about maybe you didn't finish, whatever you had going on with your mom before. Miss Wanda, that was so out of line. Don't talk. Nell was just simply saying, "Hey, I don't have my mother here to defend me like Letitia got her mother here to defend her." And you took that to another level. I'm glad it was eventually squashed, but even Letitia knew, oh shit, I went too far. She gets up and go and talk to her mom real quick and try to calm her down. Destiny over there trying to calm Nell down. Nell, you don't have to take that. Let me say this clearly to Nell Fletcher. Nell and Chris Fletcher is a reality TV show on their own. I get it. You're on that show because you got contracts, whatever. But y'all should be somewhere behind the scenes. I don't even care if you do a deal with Carlos. I don't know Carlos. I ain't got nothing against Carlos King. That could be a whole nother hit show for him. But you need to be behind the scenes somewhere, getting you another show together just for you and your family because y'all are interesting. Because Tisha Scott is still trapped in the first season, second season about cheating. She has not grown from that on this show. That's all she discusses every freaking episode, if her husband cheated or not. And we keep telling you we don't care at this point. But that's what it is. So as the night goes on, everybody's having a good time. The women are arguing at the table while the men over there taking pictures and laughing. And even Nell said, "We fight with each other and look at them. They over there." But I will say this, Martell Hope, listen up. They are slowly icing you out of a show you and your ex-wife created. I swear, you said what? Less than 30 words the whole episode? That's it. Now you came in here looking like a broke LL Cool J or Run DMC or something. You know what I'm saying? Had that little side swoop like Bobby Brown and a little Run DMC Adidas outfit. So you tried it. Had that little, chest out like you LL Cool J. You tried it. You know, I will say your costume looked good, but I'm still watching this and I'm noticing as the episodes and season go on, I'm seeing less and less and less of Martell. Now he may be getting executive producer credit. I don't know, but they're icing you out of your own show, Martell. You better figure something out. And Ariana ain't the answer. Nobody wants to see her, but you better figure you a storyline or something. You know, you screwed yourself because you could have a storyline filming with your children, but you didn't want them on the show. You screwed yourself. Because that could have been a good storyline because people like the Eminem kids. They would love to see you with them interacting as long as the other girl wasn't in the picture. And nobody wants to see the side baby. I'll be honest, they ain't gonna want to see him on the air. And I'm nothing against the kid. I don't like talking about kids, but I'm just saying, Martell, you screwed yourself. Because these Scots are slowly moving in on your territory that you and your wife worked together to get done. Basically, your wife did it, but you got to ride the gravy train because you was married to her. They are slowly taking that from you. But okay, let's move forward. So, the guys are taking pictures, and then at the end, everybody danced to a little soul tray line and, a little dance. And I would say Martell could dance. I was surprised. Even Maurice got up there and did a little something, something. So at the end of the day, Letitia Scott, you got to stop being so being a hypocrite because I'm watching these seasons go on and I'm watching certain things happen and y'all just looking past it. But then earlier seasons when your old castmate was on there, it would have been a big thing. It would have exploded out of and that in Destiny too. Because even Destiny was getting pissed at Letitia. Destiny was like, I didn't get an invitation. What happened to this? And oh, I didn't know where we stood, this and that. Y'all are letting Letitia walk over y'all of all people. So I'll give her kudos for that. She is milking all y'all. She's over Destiny over here damn near begging for forgiveness and be her friend. She's arguing with Nell, and then Kimmy is riding on her coattail. Why wouldn't Letitia feel like she queen bee? Because all of y'all are sitting here acting like y'all afraid to piss her off. Imagine that. Tisha Scott. All right, enough of Tisha Scott. Let me talk about this damn Maurice. Maurice the Beast. Maurice is exactly who y'all thought Marceau was. Exactly. That Kimmy, I don't know how you do it. God bless your soul. But you know what? Sometimes they say you get what you ask for. So I'm going to go back down memory lane just a bit. I remember one season, and it was early on. I don't know if it's the first or second season that they was sitting with the counselor, and it may have been in the cabin with Dr. Francis, whatever. But I remember Marceau and Kimmy discussing their intimacy issues, and Marceau, and I mean not Marceau, I'm sorry, Maurice telling Kimmy that he had to have it 3, 4, 5 times a day, and she said, condition of their marriage, that she did promise that she would do that for him. She told him going in that she would do that. And then she ended up getting sick, as you know, and then the whole rollover and do it thing came in because he did not want her to go against what he promised, even though she was sick. He was like, I don't care if she's sick. I was told I can get this so many times a day, and that's what I'm gonna do. So just roll over. And she sat in that car driving with him and said, a lot of times I do it for you, not for me. That's where you screwed up at, Kim, because you was doing it for him, not for you. At some point, you got to put yourself first. And as long as you was doing it for him and not for you all of this time, he didn't got accustomed to it. And so he expected to continue on. Maurice, what you should be doing is understanding how women anatomy works and realize that as she's getting older, that urge may taper off a little bit, or it may taper off more. We don't know because the hormone imbalance is going to be off. The libido is going to be off. Her hormones is going to be off. But he expect the same thing that you was doing 7, 6, 8, 9, 10 years ago to continue. But he's the smartest person in the room. But apparently he didn't take biology, anatomy, or any type of science class dealing with women. That's all I'm going to say. Now, with that being said, they're sitting there on their date night, and he's still upset about not getting it enough. And he's also, Maurice, the smartest man in the room, Martin Luther Reese, telling Kimmy, I don't care what those therapists say. They don't know what they're talking about. Nobody knows what they're talking about but Maurice. And Kimmy knows his attitude is like that. But Kimmy just sits there and just accepts it. And in the back of her mind, you could see her facial expressions like, really? But she go ahead and smile and everything. I don't know why you would tolerate that just to have the title of a wife and a husband. Because Kimmy know Maurice is out of line. And she know that Maurice is probably not right on certain things he say, but she refuses to check him on it, but instead make an excuse every single time he says something. Okay. I watched this go back to early seasons when Monster first came there. Kimmy did not want Monster to live there, and it was all over her face. But Maurice said it, so it shall be done. And she allowed it to happen. Then when Monster got there, she was complaining about he doesn't do enough. He doesn't clean up this. He doesn't listen to me. He only listens to you. I've always said she had an issue with that young man, but she tolerated him because of the situation, her, being married to his dad. Then there was an episode where his mom had came down and had a conversation with Kimmy, Monster, and Maurice. And she was sitting there listening to all them talk and watching it. And she just said, hey, maybe he just misses his mom. Maurice was finding, well, it's boot camp. I get him up at 5. We do this and that. And Kimmy just sitting there knowing that's too much for him. She's like, well, I mean, he just trying to give him some structure. He didn't even know how to wash clothes until he got here. And the mom is like, hey, I was just a nurturing mom. And she understood that, she was a single mom, maybe at the time, nurturing him a little bit too much. But it was the way in which Maurice was doing the stuff. Kimmy knew it was wrong, felt like he was a drill sergeant and not a father, which makes me see the hypocrisy. And when Jalen was saying how he was treated, it makes sense. But Kimmy tried to say, oh, well, no, he didn't treat Jalen that. No. If he treated his own son like it was a drill, like he was a drill sergeant, I can only imagine what Jalen went through. I'm just saying, Kimmy, you've continued to allow Maurice to act and behave in a way which is not right, but it seemed like you scared to correct him. But this is supposed to be a partnership. And when you do correct him or attempt to, you try to pretty it up and then act like, well, he's not really doing it, but he is doing it. And try to explain to us why he's doing it. Well, you can't tell us what our eyes are seeing. We see and hear it. Again, I understand it's edited, but they don't edit him as a good person. And all of it can't be edited because this stuff is coming out of his mouth. So there's having this conversation about the date night. The therapist is not the best. And then Maurice is saying, look, basically he's saying something's going to change because I need this. Kimmy, at what point do you not understand your husband has a problem? He has a problem and he don't even want to admit it because he think he's smarter than the problem. And then you're saying, well, I mean, it was real sexy when I would come to your houses projects you were working on, and I would see you putting down floors and hammering this and hammering that, and that was sexy. And I come there and we just do it right there. I mean, that was great back then. But now you in this soft hand era, and I don't see. So basically, you're saying you missed the macho man. You was attracted to the macho man, the guy who was putting in floors and hammering nails and cutting wood and all. You was attracted to that. You're not attracted to a soft guy. Now keep in mind, when he was doing this type of work, they weren't married. Kimmy and Maurice got married the first season of the show. So when he was out here doing construction, this is what he was doing when you first met him, and you was using that to keep him. Remember, Kai was saying we probably could have made it had Kimmy not interfered. So when you was showing up at the sites, at lunchtime, on your lunch break, getting you a quickie and going back to the hospital as a nurse, yeah, it was working. And this is what he expected because whatever you start out with, he expect you to finish with. But what's that saying? How you get him is how you keep him. This is what you did in the beginning. Then you married him 7 years later, and then you promised him before that cancer, excuse me, the big C. Don't wish that on nobody. But before that diagnosis, you promised him, yeah, I did promise you we'd do it so many times a day, and I'm doing the best to live up to that. So you did that, Kimmy. You created Maurice the Beast. And now you're trying to pull back because you didn't think at some point you wouldn't be able to keep up with this. Because when you young and all that, you like, pooh, hypersexual, I'm a dude, da da da. When you get a little older, you kind of like pull back just a little bit, like, woo. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired mentally or physically, hormones off balance. I don't feel myself. You didn't calculate that coming in, Kim. So you created Maurice the Beast, and now you can't keep up with him. Because if you was going to these construction sites and doing this with Maurice during the day and evening time, whatever, prior to y'all being married, you created this pattern. You created Maurice the Beast, and he wants this to continue. And now you can't keep up with Maurice the Beast. You created the Frankenstein. You created the monster. And now the monster is coming back to attack you because they say, once again, how you get them is how you keep them. Remember, you had him doing your son's hair when he was a barber because you wanted to get with him. That was your way of the door to get in. Then y'all started talking, started dating. All of this while Maurice was still married. Then y'all end up getting married, according to you. Now you at home, you done quit your job at the hospital because remember those episodes you didn't want to quit being a nurse, a head of nurse, and whatever it was you was doing. You didn't want to quit that job. You didn't want to get into real estate. Now you done quit your job. Now you're all into real estate. You are doing every single thing that man asks you to do. And I don't think you're that happy with it. Now Maurice is telling you, if you can't keep up with me, I might have to discard you down the road. And you're like, well, what does that mean? You know exactly what it means. And I'm sure they still together now. I'm just saying on this episode, he told you exactly how he felt. Now, Maurice, I'm going to say this. You are wrong for that. And maybe this is why Kyra left, because maybe she couldn't keep up with him like that. And maybe Maurice was out running them streets, finding women to satisfy that urge. So now it makes it more believable for me when Martell sat there and said, y'all talking about me cheating. Y'all husband slept with about 20 women. I believe it. Because if he had a sexual appetite the way he is displaying, yeah, and you wasn't there or when he needed that fulfilled, it doesn't surprise me if he was out there doing stuff with Martell. And he probably threw Marceau on for the ride. I'm just saying, Kimmy, you created Maurice the Beast. But hey, when somebody asks you about your husband cheating, allegedly getting drunk, the DWI, where was he coming from at 12 o'clock in the afternoon? I ain't talking about it. You think because your husband cheated, everybody's husband cheated. Remember that? Hypocrisy. Now look at you. Now look at you. You kind of admitted he may have cheated, but you're not really saying it in certain scenes. Hmm. So I'm confused. Why were y'all so mad at your ex-castmate for telling the truth? Y'all wanted to focus all y'all scenes and all the storyline on her, and y'all been hiding y'all truth. Now that she's not there and y'all truth is study slipping, coming to the forefront, it's like, wow, if y'all had these storylines, why did y'all just let it run? That would have made the show so much more interesting than it's looking like y'all all bullying on one person. No, you was on reality TV. It wasn't like nobody ever seen this before. But anyway, I digress. Kimmy, you created Maurice the Beast. Now that is your problem. And now you have to deal with it. You have given up everything, your career and everything else, being sick and still doing what he wanted you to do, whatever sacrifices he's asked you to make, you have made for him. And that ninja looked you in the face and said, if you don't keep satisfying my needs, you're going to have to go. I, I can't believe that. You just sacrifice your son's well-being because we all figured out now that he didn't really care for your son or treat your son right. But your son is okay. He's a stable young man, thank God. Anyway, you sacrifice your job. You did all of this for this man that you dated for 7 years and probably only married you because the show came on and it looked better if he was married. For him to look you in your face and say, if you don't satisfy this, we might have to end this right now. That's a cold-blooded man, and that's why I call him Maurice the Beast. Maurice is exactly who y'all thought Marceau was, only worse. Only worse. Because at least Marceau, at the bare minimum, give Tisha a little room to talk and hear her out. Even though every time she says something, he shoot it down. Like when she talked about spilling some hot tea, and he said, "Hot tea, be careful. Last time somebody tried to spill some hot tea, that tea got spilled on them." And I don't know if that was shade to his ex castmate and her husband, or was that a shade to that whole thing that went down at the game day on Destiny. But it was hot tea. Tisha threatened to tell on Miss Nail, I got tea about your husband, Chris. Don't let me have to, if I get mad enough, I'll spill the tea. See, there you go, Tisha, threatening to spill the tea on somebody's husband, but you mad about an NDA. But you mad you spilling the tea on Chris, but you ain't said nothing to Arion and Martell about the tea they spilled on your husband with that young lady and you in the backseat of a car. Hypocrisy. But you all mad and nail over a statement about an NDA and something about Destiny saying Tisha needs to stay out of my business, and you're ready to tell all her husband business. See, the thing with Marceau, he tries to reel Tisha in. But I can guarantee you, Tisha gonna spill it anyway, because that's what she likes to do. Tisha's messy and childish, and I'm finding that out episode by episode. Now, at the end of the episode, I don't know what's gonna happen with Maurice and Kim. Kimmy, I hope it works out with them. But y'all should have led with these storylines 4 or 5 seasons ago. Kimmy, if you was having these issues, this should have been brought up. It was actually interesting, but now it just looks pathetic because it looks like y'all pushing, grasping for straws because in a bit, the ratings are dropping. People are not watching because they didn't like the bullying that they seen. Destiny, this storyline could have you and dating multiple men could have went on a long time ago. But they ended the party with you and 3 men around you. Once again, wasn't a good look. Was you having fun? Fine, but it just wasn't a good look. And that's just the three there. Sonny and her husband Moses up there in St. Louis. It would have been four if they were still on the show. Not a good look, Destiny. Not a good look. Now, as the show went off the air, they showed what's coming up the next half of the season. I guess they just expand these seasons to keep these people in a check, okay, with a check in their pocket. But look, Destiny goes to Detroit to find her mother. Let me say this, and this is just my opinion. I'm gonna drink a little coffee. Just my opinion. Do y'all remember the scene on Real Housewives of Atlanta when Kenya went to Detroit to see her mom and her mom wouldn't open the door and all of that? Kind of seemed like she's still in the page out of that book to try to garner just a little bit of sympathy. Because when Kenya was on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, when she came in like a bullet. Kenya came in all guns a blazing. And she wasn't very likable. She was hitting on all the OGs, just going after people, Phaedra, going after Nene, just Portia, everybody. And people was not liking Kenya. But when Kenya went to Detroit and we started seeing her real story with her mom, her family, her uncle and aunt that raised her and all of that, then she became more human and then people liked her. Even though she still was shady, we seen a different side of Kenya. And I think that's what Destiny is trying to do come next season. She's going back home because remember, Destiny never, other than her saying that her mother didn't raise her, her dad raised her, da da da, she never did that. Now, when we see her mom gives her, it gives us the Toya Wright, the girl, the Lil Wayne's wife, her mother, in and out. Frankie, Keisha Cole's, mother, Mario, the singer, the way his mom, it gives us that vibe. Like, okay, another black person who mom or parent got into the drug thing and just never got their life together years down the road. That's what I get out of that. So it seems like she's taking a bite out of those particular storylines from different shows and throwing it out there. And then when we see it, maybe we'll feel different about her because we see a more human side of her. I don't know if it's too little too late because there's a lot of people in that situation, but it does give us something more to Destiny. The question I ask or have for her is, why did you do this a long time ago? I mean, I know you was going through a divorce. You couldn't show your son on the show. You couldn't talk about it. But that's a storyline that you could have brought in 3, 4, 5 seasons ago. But you was too busy worried about Sonny and Moses. When you could have been, yeah, you could have talked about that a little bit. We get it. It was out of line. But you also could have brought in what's going on in your real life. Now, you brought your dad in and we understood that, but he's down there in Alabama. But had you took us a trip back to Detroit and took some of the girls with you, like your ex-castmate or something, it would have made it more, I don't know, just made you more softer to us. But no, you kept spilling, I am her, big D energy. She is it, all of that stuff. If we would have seen the softer side of Destiny and understood what was really going on in your life, maybe it would have made sense for us why you act that way and behave that way. Because once Kenya Moore did it on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, it cleared up everything for me. And we understood why she behaved that way. And then some things that allowed Kenya to be a little more vulnerable because when she got married, she opened up that. And we seen how that husband treated her. When she had the other boyfriend that was a little violent and I think he kicked her door in or something, she let us see that. So that kind of stuff made us, even though Kenya is sharp on the tongue, we was also able to see her as a human too. Destiny, you was sharp on the tongue, real nasty and evil, but we didn't get to see any other side of you because you was hiding that the whole time. The only small smidget of us seeing you as an actual real person is when you had the conversation with your dad on the park bench that day. And that was what, how many seasons down the road? I think it's a good thing you're doing it to try to save this franchise and keep it going, but it may just be a little too late. But let's hope not. If anything else, I hope your mother gets the help she needs. Okay. Now, then they start talking about Marceau and Maurice get into it. And I've been telling y'all since day one, Marceau will start a project and you never see it finish. I said it. If you look at my previous videos, I said Kimmy did not like Marcel working on their stuff because she said he never finishes anything. And you see the exact scene. You see the exact scene I've been talking about when Maurice said, Kimmy said, Maurice, Marceau still hasn't finished his project. And then him and Maurice having this conversation. And I don't know if that was the restaurant they had bought. Remember, they had the restaurant and the food tasting. I don't know what that building was, but I said that too. My last video, I said it. And he come over there, they arguing, and he said, I'll sue you and all of that. I've been saying that since day one. Marceau, where's your crew? Marceau is a one-man crew. He may go on a corner in the early in the morning and get two people on the day labor corner and bring them in, and then that be his crew for the day. There is no reason all these projects should be sitting around there. Marceau didn't build that house according to Kimmy and whatever that construction they needed done in that little area. Didn't do that. He's still working on Chateau Charest / Scott Manor. He's still working on the office building with him and his new offices for Scope. He's still working on Tisha's office. Count it now, count it. Marceau, a one-man wrecking crew. I personally think Marceau gets the deposits for these projects and never finish them. Just or go get the loan, get the money, and never finish them. Something is not right. Something is it's just not adding up. Okay. And I thought that was interesting because the cracks are in now. See, Marceau and Maurice always had this. I always felt like they were brothers, but they had a beef amongst each other because the earlier seasons, him and Maurice did go at it once or twice. Not too deep like it is now, but they've had back and forth. Because Maurice gives me, because I think they were talking about their childhood and how Reese was treated versus Marceau was treated. But I remember that episode. Maurice gives me, he thinks he's better than all of them at this point. Maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe he is. So that's going to be interesting. And again, he's letting Kimmy know, hey, you either put out or get out. Maurice is the beast. That's all I'm gonna say. The Fletchers, we all heard about it this past summer that Fletcher had lost his real estate license. I don't know, some bad dealing, it's something about not exposing or giving out the correct information or something like that. But Nell was like, look, you're gonna have to get this together because at the end of the day, I can't be the only income in this house. You get them now. But now Fletcher got to think about when Nell was getting on their behinds about giving these kids money all the time and they don't never pay nobody back. That is gonna come into play now because you're gonna need that extra money that them kids you've been loaning them kids and they ain't gave back to you. I'm just saying. Okay. I hope Fletcher gets his license back. Again, Fletcher and Nell and their family, that could be a whole family storyline. Watching Fletcher work the system and get his real estate license back, or maybe find a new job in construction, because even Fletcher getting no more so it has to be something going there between his license and his construction stuff. Maybe it's the permit thing. I don't know. But there's an issue there. But what we did not see in this last episode that's coming in March or whatever, whenever the split seasons they do, I didn't see any highlights from Martell. Like I said, they are slowly pushing Martell out of his own franchise. And he deserved every bit of it. Every bit of it for the way he behaved. In actuality, Martell still has not taken accountability for anything at all. And he's still letting them know, you're pissing me off, I'll still tell on y'all. He likes to start the fire. That's just Martell. Martell, you better be watching what's going on because before you know it, they've already limited your time on camera as I've seen this season. I think I've seen what, maybe 3, 4 episodes with Martell this whole season. And he was maybe in one scene here or there. He did the blueprint scene, he did the party scene, and maybe one more prior to that. They have limited Martell camera time. So Martell, I mean, you out here paying old girls college tuition according to her and all her bills and taking care of all these kids. You're going to need some extra revenue. And you claim you building this $1 million property. You better start looking at these producers and find out why they cutting your scenes out. Because for some reason, they slowly cutting all of your scenes out. You're going to be a friend of the show that you created if you keep going the way you're going. Hell, right now, you're the friend of the show. So the second half of the season is going to be pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Y'all leave a comment. Let me know what y'all think. Those are just some of the things I've seen. And like I said, some of it was a lot of hypocrisy, but also You seeing the cracks in Scott point one and Scott 1.0 and Scott 2.0 that their ex-castmate was saying the whole time, y'all marriages ain't perfect. Y'all got stuff going on in y'all marriage, and they swear to God their marriage is perfect. And my husband ain't cheating. You just think because your husband cheating, everybody else's husband cheating. Well, well, actually, we're finding out there was a lot of truth to everything she was saying. A lot of truth. And maybe that's the reason she walked away, because she said, you know what, let me walk away. And then y'all don't have no choice but expose y'all truth. And look at y'all now. Your cracks are coming all over the place. And as I said in the beginning, Maurice the Beast is exactly who y'all thought Marceau was. And with that being said, this is Gen X Nation. Like, put a comment in. I'll respond back to you. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. I did the best I can. I just could not stand the fact that these people sat on this show, and I love the show. I've been a fan since season one, day one, and did all of these things to their former castmate. And now we're looking at every single thing that that lady was telling us that was going on with these other couples was actually true. And it's coming out. It's finally coming out. But the problem is, it's coming out so late that it may not be enough to save the franchise. When all of you guys could have had these discussions early on in the seasons and could have made this one of the best reality shows on TV, because you would have been dealing with the real estate and you would have been dealing with your personal lives. And it was okay for them to go through what they went through and got divorced. Who would have faulted that person for divorcing somebody? You would have made it more comfortable for both of them to be on the show together, maybe film separately, even film together. But y'all made it so uncomfortable. And then he was just acting like a clown at the same time. And then he couldn't control his wolf dog in the back, who got on here every day talking crap. It was just a lot. And I can understand why she walked away. But just think about, as they say, lightning in a bottle y'all actually had y'all exposed Destiny talking to her mom, Marceau really not finishing projects and really talking about him and Maurice's dynamics. Maurice and Kimmy really going into what's going on in their lives. Kimmy letting us know she grew up in an abusive relationship. I think a lot of the hate toward her was the fact that her life wasn't as dysfunctional as you guys. And so when y'all got with her and she was trying to help y'all elevate, y'all was saying, oh, you just bougie. You think you better than us. It wasn't that. She just didn't live the life y'all live. If she grew up in a smaller town in Alabama, her grandfather had property. They gave her property when she graduated. She sold it, started her, her road to being a multimillionaire. She grew up with a Christian family background, even with a mom as a single parent. She loved her other siblings, that her dad has. She don't disown them. Where we already see where you grew up at, Tisha. Kimmy, you said your father was abusive, hollered all the time. Martell, your dad wasn't around. People in and out of jail. The two brothers grew up with 10 people in the house in Michigan where your father locked up the refrigerator. So for her coming into the group, who grew up in basically a pretty stable environment, who had a whole village helping her and backing her, and she's trying to, show y'all how to elevate, and hey, you can start this business here. Let's get some money together and do this. Y'all thinking, oh, she bougie, she better than y'all. No, she just had a different life experience, and she's trying to give y'all that experience, and she's trying to share her knowledge and some of her wealth with y'all. And y'all didn't like that. And that, to me, is what I see now. Because everybody else on this show, from what I can gather, came from some, tragic or trauma type background. And not to say that she didn't have trauma or tragedy in her background, but she had a village that kept her grounded and kept God first and faith first, which I don't hear a lot of y'all talk about. And that's just a whole nother story. I didn't went on a whole nother rant, but that's what I see. Okay. So again, with that being said, I appreciate y'all hanging out this long. I did not want this video to be this long. This is Gen X Nation. As always, you guys like, subscribe, leave a comment. I'll get back to you. And I want y'all to go out and have a great day. Don't let the things of the world get to you. Whatever's going up there in DC is going up there in DC. Remember, as always, God is in control. Peace, and I'm out.